In 1968, at Kanchi, Maharaji would spend most of the day sitting on Dada's bed. He would say, "Dada keeps awake, so I must stay up too." At 3 a.m., he came to Dada's room knocking. "You wake me, so today I wake you." "But it is 3 a.m., protested Dada, "and I wake you at 5 a.m. Maharaji just laughed and came in. Once the Maas came to Maharaji saying, "Maharaji, come take your bath." "Go away," he replied. "I don't want to. Come, Keki, we'll go to Vrindavan." Maharaji was lying down, sick with the cold. Mrs. Soni, who had never seen him lying sick like that, rubbed his feet and said, "Oh Maharaji, your feet are so cold." "Are they, Ma?" He was like a little child. It was a new moon, which is auspicious to see. So just as one would with a child, she said, "Maharaji, come to the door and look at the new moon, and you'll be better." "Will I?" "Ma," she helped him to the door, coaxing him. "Ma, I don't see it." "There it is." "Where, Ma?" "Finally." "Oh, I see it." Then she said, "Now you'll be all better tomorrow." She helped him back to bed, and the next day he was better. One devotee said that although she had a camera, she had never taken pictures of Maharaji. She would lend her camera to others. One day it was loaded and in her possession. She was alone with Maharaji and decided to try to take pictures. He tried to pull my leg, posing this way and that, turning his head to the right, the left, pretending to meditate. It was such fun. She pointed out several photos of Maharaji, now on the ashram walls, which were taken at that time. Only we were allowed to be with him at all times, while he was eating, bathing, or going to the latrine. He was so delightful. Sometimes he was like a small child, so playful and joyful. Sometimes he would seem so helpless. A man would come to Kanchi, dressed in his camouflage jungle clothes, and tell Maharaji stories in his hunting exploits. Maharaji called the man Hunter in English. The man once skillfully described crawling steadily through the grass in search of a tiger, slowly parting the grass ahead of him as he crawled. As he related the incident, he acted out his part. All this time Maharaji sat in seemingly rapt attention, with apprehension proper to the mood of the story. "Then suddenly," said the hunter, "there in front of me was a tiger." At this, Maharaji leaped backward on his tuckets, just as a child would do. Maharaji was so gleefully at such a good story. Once when Westerners arrived, Maharaji yelled with childlike delight, "Here they come! They have come to see me." "Where did you get that?" "Nobody has given me any." There is a long history of Maharaji association with dacoits or robbers. To the extent that a person had a pure or spiritual spark, Maharaji would point to it and fan it, regardless of the person's social status. At the same time, he did not condone thievery, and he dealt harshly with it when it came to his attention. Besides meeting the lawless elements of society in jails, which he often visited, he met them on the road in culverts. In his earlier days, when he wandered the jungle, the huge ditches under the roads that was designed to hold the monsoon rains served well as shelter in the night, and here he found individuals who became, in one way or another, his devotees. Maharaji slept in many culverts. So did dacoits. They would go in and push aside the cobwebs and all. There is one huge culvert near Mathura under a bridge where robbers go and await their prey. Maharaji would stay there, and the dacoit would say, "Baba, are we going to get any money tonight?" "You'd better say yes or we'll kill you." Maharaji says that's why he knows all the bad guys. Dacoits would get free education in Nainital. The children would come to see Maharaji, and Maharaji would say of their father. Their hearts are pure sometimes. Someone showed Maharaji a picture of a dacoit with Rudraksham beads, sacred beads of Shiva. How sincere, Maharaji commented. He did bad things, but he was pure in his duty. A policeman led a captive through town and was being very cruel to him. Maharaji said, "Don't do that." The policeman was very abusive to Maharaji, but Maharaji replied, "You should be more kind. You never know when you will be in the same position." The next day, the policeman was arrested for bribery and taken in chains through the town. Maharaji was visiting a jail during Ram Leela, a festival during which the Ramayana is enacted daily, and the inmates were acting out the Ramayana dressed in appropriate costumes. The jail superintendent was arrogantly telling Maharaji who was in prison for what and for how long, even while the inmates were enacting characters from the Ramayana. The superintendent's old father came, and Maharaji had him do aarti to the fellow who was playing Ram and also touch his feet. This humbled the superintendent. A woman and her sister were taken by Maharaji to visit a juvenile jail in Bareilly. The convicts had constructed a dais for Maharaji to sit on, but they were required to remain some distance from him. They sang a kirtan with folded hands. Maharaji gave some money to the superintendent for sweets for everyone, but told him not to tell where the money had come from. As they were leaving, they saw some young boys sitting in their cells. One of the women with Maharaji asked, "Maharaji, can't you do something for them?" Maharaji was furious. "Do you want to take the responsibility?" Once Maharaji was arrested as a loiterer and put in jail. 3 or 4 times during the night he unlocked the cell to go out and urinate, much to the perturbation of the jailer. In the morning, the jailer told his superior of the troubles Maharaji had caused him. The superior realized who Maharaji was and apologized, brought him food and let him go. He became a great devotee of Maharaji. Maharaji frequently used the expression central jail in reference to his body and to the ashrams. Maharaji used this expression even before I became superintendent of police of the central jail. Maharaji used to visit an Anglo-Indian devotee who was in the Fatehgarh central jail. While visiting Jay's home, Maharaji would ask for prison food and they would serve him the prisoners' fare. He would eat it, then visit the prisoners. A few of these people, who were from all walks of life, even considered themselves devotees. Dada and Gurudutt Sharma were with Maharaji in a jeep on their way to the temple of Burindara. As they drove up to the temple, they saw some men who were apparently trying to break in. Maharaji grew very excited and said, "They are after Hanumanji. Let's go, let's go." The dacoit ran off down the road. Maharaji jumped out of the jeep, dropped his blanket and took off down the road after them, running full speed. Dada and Gurudutt Sharma tried to keep up but kept getting in each other's way, and by the way they caught up with Maharaji, he was already returning. He was laughing and happy. "I chased them, Dada. I scared them. I yelled so loud that they peed in their pants. I did good." "Dada, didn't I do good?" Once an inspector who had been accused of taking a bribe, the Central Excise Commissioner and Maharaji were sitting together. Maharaji asked the inspector, "You take bribes, don't you?" The man trembled and wept. Maharaji asked the commissioner, "He will be thrown out and go in jail?" The boss replied, "I don't know." Maharaji then said, "If he is thrown out, his children and wife will die." The man was acquitted. Maharaji would get people to make confessions publicly and thereby clear their conscience. And then he would seek compassion for them. It was a hot summer night and Maharaji and some devotees were sitting outside on the lawn at Dee's house. Maharaji was sitting in the only chair. All the members of the top class gentry encircled him. I sat at a distance watching. Then two people came. One dressed in the traditional formal attire of an advocate and one in a dhoti. Both pranamed and took a seat beside me. But Maharaji ignored them and talked to those in the circle. The two newcomers were very impatient and the advocate wanted to leave. I felt much trouble in them. For if you are before a saint, why run? The advocate pressed the man in white, who stood up and got Maharaji's attention. He said he had a request. Maharaji said, "Go on." He continued, "My friend, advocate is in great trouble." So Maharaji said to the advocate, "You are not an advocate, are you?" He replied, "Truly, true, I am not." Maharaji asked, "What is your trouble?" The man couldn't answer, but his friend in white said, "He was involved in murder." "Did you not commit murder?" asked Maharaji. "No." "Was not the murder arranged by you?" "Yes." Maharaji looked as if he were viewing a slide before his eye. Maharaji said, "What harm did he do you? Was he not a simple and honest man?" "Yes, but he was a hurdle in my way." Maharaji said, "He had 3 or 4 children. It is a heinous crime." "Are you not sorry?" "Yes." "You will not do it again in your life?" "No." "Now you can go," Maharaji said. The man in the dhoti asked, "Will he be acquitted?" Maharaji said, "Yes, he will be pardoned." Maharaji said to the murderer, "Think of the man's wife and helpless children. Who will look after them?" The man was trembling. "Look after the children," Maharaji continued, "and help them, and you will realize later what you have done." The judge for the case had already written a decision, but late at night he got up and changed the judgment to acquittal. During Maharaji's absence, a number of bags of cements were stolen from the Vrindavan ashram. As soon as he returned, he called for the gardener. During Maharaji's absence, a number of bags of cements were stolen from the Vrindavan ashram. As soon as he returned, he called for the gardener. "How many bags of cement did you steal?" "No, Maharaji, I didn't take them." "Tell me," Maharaji continued, "how much money did you get for them?" "Nothing." Maharaji stood up and slapped the gardener on the face so hard that he fell to the ground. Then Maharaji walked away, leaving him there. 5 minutes later, Maharaji inquired of others, "How is he now? Call him." The gardener again came before Maharaji. "Did you steal them? How many rupees?" The gardener confessed and said he received 250 rupees for the cement. Maharaji turned to the man in charge of the ashram accounts and said to him, "Give him another 250 rupees, and to the gardener, now go." The gardener was fired and sent away. Some time later he returned and touched Maharaji's feet and begged to have his old job back again. Maharaji said, "You have come back this time. I'll put you in central jail." The gardener was sent to the Lucknow temple, where Malhotra, a retired prison official, was the manager. A policeman and a dacoit were both visiting Maharaji. Each was massaging a leg. Maharaji said to the dacoit, "There is a bounty out for you, and anyone who brings you in gets a reward. Isn't that true?" "I don't know, Maharaji," the dacoit replied. Then Maharaji turned to the policeman. "Do you recognize him?" "No, Maharaji." Such was his plea.